Also, just last year, Brock Purdy played at, according to the voters, an MVP level. His team was the 1 seed. They were in the Super Bowl. This year, he's played at a league average level, and his team is average. Like that, I don't think we have to. So when Bruce said he's been fine, I agreed with him, and I think the Niners have been fine, but that's disappointing for both of them. Because Purdy was supposed to be this ascending player, and the Niners are supposed to be the overwhelming NFC favorites. So yeah, there is a real pressure on him when nobody thinks they have the talent of a sub-500 team, even with the Ayuk injury, that for them to not fall below 500. So yeah, it's a must-win for them.
Greg gets the point, though. That was awesome.
So you can hear Nick right there calling out Brock Purdy, calling out the Niners, saying this is a must-win here. If they do not pull out this game against the Green Bay Packers, their season is pretty much done. And you heard the statistics there, right? If they lose this game, their chance of making the playoffs dips all the way down to 17%. Now, if they can win this game and eke one game above 500, all of a sudden their playoff hopes are much, much better, and they have a 47% chance of making the playoffs. Now, at 47%, that's still not great, but that's a hell of a lot better than 17%. So, they're also discussing offensive efficiency for the 49ers, and, Nick Wright thinking that Brock Purdy is the reason the 49ers are average this year. He's saying, like, hey, Brock's playing average. Look at that. The Niners are 5-5. They're 500. They're playing average. If we take a look at some of the stats offensively for the 49ers this year, I mean, they are second in yards. So if you just look at yards per game, they are number 2. They are right at the top. The Ravens, crazy season right now. They've got 4,731 yards. They are averaging 430.1 yards a game. So Ravens they've kind of separated themselves. They're up there. They're way away, like 30 plus yards above every other team in the NFL. The second closest is the Niners right there. So kind of looking at yards per game, you would think, oh, well, shoot, the Niners are right behind the Ravens. They're at number 2. They've got almost 4,000 yards this season. They're almost raking in 400 yards per game. They should be having a much better record, right? But it's just kind of come down to the red zone struggles. So you see them up there. They're number 2 in yards. They're way at the top when it comes to yards per game and total yards. But the problem with them has been that red zone efficiency and getting in the end zone. So you look at the Ravens, they've got these 4,700 yards they racked up this year, and they're averaging 430 yards a game, but they're averaging over 30 points a game. So the Ravens sitting at 30.4 points a game. You'd think the Niners would be right behind them, right, with being second in total yards, but the Niners are down at only 25 points a game, so that's the big problem for San Francisco right now. Yeah, they're getting a lot of yards. They're getting down the field. They're just not converting. And, there's been a lot of things that have happened to them. You've got a lot of special teams issues. Just in the Tampa Bay game alone, Moody misses 3 field goals. That's not going to help their points per game average, So there's just a lot of stuff going on, some turnovers that are kind of also hurting them, and special teams miss field goals. But if San Francisco could just kind of convert a lot of these drives into points, and bump up that PPG or that points per game, we could be looking at a totally different record right now. We may not be looking at the 5-5 record or the 500 record for the 49ers. So kind of looking at their offense, some areas on the stat sheet, they look really good. And then in other areas such as points per game, they're just not getting it done. Looking at them defensively, again, looking at yards per game for the 49ers, you would think their record would be much better, because right now, just looking at the amount of yards they've given up as a defense, they're 6th. I mean, it's not like they're middle of the pack or bottom half of the NFL. They're 6th. They've only given up 3,022 yards, in 10 games. So they're averaging 302 yards per game. I mean, that's only about, 30 yards off of the Philadelphia Eagles, who are number 1. The Eagles are giving up 273 yards a game. Niners are 30 yards above that. So they're in range. They're somewhat close there. You would kind of think, again, that the Niners would have a much better record. I mean, they're 2nd in yards per game. They're 6th in defense as far as giving up yards. So, I mean, they're not bad. And the points per game, it's not their best season, but they're giving up 22.2 points a game, which is like not terrible. You got the Eagles sitting at right around 18 points a game. Broncos down at 16.6, so there's definitely some teams near the top here. The Chiefs at 19.1 points per game. That's what they're giving up as a defense. So, not the worst points per game given up by the 49er defense here, but definitely not their best season we've seen in recent years. So I want to know, what do you think about it here? You've got the Niners up here, number 2 in total yards, but they're only getting 25 points per game. Then on the defensive side of the ball, they're giving up 22.2 points per game as a defense, but they're 6th in total yards given up. They're only giving up 302.2 yards per game. So let me know what you think about it. Do you think that this weekend against the Packers is a must-win? Do you think that their season is over? If they do lose this game, their chances only become 17% to make the playoffs. Do you think the season is over? Let me know what you think about it in the comments section. I appreciate you for taking the time to watch this, and I will talk to you soon.